And that led to empathy toward Donald Trump and actually helped him garner more support for this election. But in regard to his speech, I think that what Trump does really well is he actually listens to the concerns of the American people. Polling for years indicated that the majority of Americans were concerned about inflation, concerned about undocumented immigration. And while the Democrats tend to think that this strategy of denying and pretending it doesn't happen or isn't happening is somehow a successful strategy, it clearly is not. He pays attention to what people are concerned about, and he speaks to those issues. And I really hope that this is a teachable moment for the Democratic Party. So far, I've seen them refuse to take any personal responsibility for their failures and foibles.
I don't think they've learned, honestly.
Ana Kasparian went on Piers Morgan uncensored and absolutely torched not just this woke panel, but also the entirety of the woke left live on Piers Morgan uncensored, right to their faces. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that Ana Kasparian is being genuine with her turnover to the right wing? Because I genuinely do. And obviously she's not like a full-on right winger, but I don't think that her co-worker, her co-host, Jay Uger, is being genuine with her. With his turn, I do think that Ana Kasparian is being genuine. But anyway, let's get into this clip here where Ana Kasparian absolutely goes off on the woke left on live television.
Michael?
Yeah, honestly, and I don't see any evidence so far that Democrats have learned a damn thing. I really don't. I've been seeing some of the stuff you've been saying, which is the right way to go. And Cenk Uygur as well has been saying similar stuff, which is, look, you have to recognize what's happened here. And you have to understand American people just did not buy into anything they were being sold by the Democrats. In fact, they just moved in big numbers from all demographic groups to Donald Trump. You have to start from that. Billy, I want to play a clip. This is about Trump talking about DEI and sort of wokeism and the gender debate and so on. Let's take a listen to this.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
You know, Billy, I can imagine a lot of cheering around America when they heard that. Just a bit of clarity on such an absurd debate. Well, we got to a stage where you had the President of the United States and his Vice President, Biden and Harris, both endorsing the obviously grotesquely unfair scenario of biological males who identify as trans women competing in women's sport and then beginning to dominate women's sport in a way they never did when they competed against men. And that alone is someone like me who's basically more liberal than not, pretty much a centrist. But it was so ridiculously absurd to endorse such a ridiculous policy that when I heard Trump say it, I wanted to punch the air. Great. We have some basic science-based clarity. What did you feel?
Well, I just feel like, remember his commercial this past, in the campaign was so powerful this fall. The one that said Kamala Harris is for they, them, Donald Trump is for you. I mean, that was the biggest, I think that moved the needle more than anything. And we're coming out of an era where people are afraid to say anything. Trump is not afraid to say that. Most people are thinking it. Back to the point that was just made a second ago, that Democrats don't know what they're doing. They're still on their heels. Not really true. There's Congressman Ricky Torres from New York, and you've got Elise Slotkin, the new senator from Michigan. She talks heavily about these conversations about DEI and gender ideology and all these things. They're not happening in the middle of the country, okay? They're happening in Los Angeles and New York and the coastal cities. And we normal former blue dog Democrat type people, moderates, are letting it happen. The moderate that let it happen more than anything is Joe Biden. I mean, he came in a moderate his whole life, and then all of a sudden he's handed this agenda. He jumps right in. He's all in. He's now at the forefront, and it's come back to bite him. But there are a lot of Democrats, I think, who are getting smart about it, and they need to wait a little bit because the Trump wave is right up here. But they'll have their moment to get normal again. Yeah, I mean, Joe, what was very interesting to me from the inauguration today was who got kind of pride of place, and with their spouses, actually, compared to the Congress people that were there.
with all the broligarchy, Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, Elon Musk, obviously, from X, along with many other things, Jeff Bezos from Amazon. These were guys who back in 2016, they were queuing up to whack Donald Trump. And their platforms were leading the resistance. Now you're seeing a complete role reversal where they're all going down to kiss the ring at Mar-a-Lago before the election. They're all donating money. In Musk's case, he went full on Trump to get him elected with 200 million followers onto his own X account, helping fuel that, which was incredibly significant, I think. You look at people like Joe Rogan and others as well, and what they brought to the party here. You're seeing someone described it earlier, it's a cultural revolution in America, where the people leading the culture debate, leading the wokeism, the DEI and all that stuff through the social media platforms have now done a screeching U-turn. And it really is. If you look at what Mark Zuckerberg said 3-4 years ago, what he's saying now, it is literally night and day, chalk and cheese. What do you feel about that?
Well, none of these guys, Pierce, have any ideology. The oligarchy, the billionaires, and I think every one of your guests should agree with me right now. Hopefully we all do. This is one thing both of these two political parties have. Both political parties, Donald Trump on the right and the Democrats on the left, they all bow down and kiss big moneyed interest. But Pierce, you keep, look, this is a pendulum. We keep talking about some swing against wokeism. Most Americans are in the damn middle. Whenever you bring up the transgender issue, Pierce, you bring up biological men playing in sports with biological women. Yeah. I agree with you. Most Americans agree with you. Common sense solutions. But you know what? Most Americans embrace the idea of our transgender brothers and sisters. Loving, let them live, let them identify as they want to live.
Okay, but here's what I would say to that.
I agree.
Yeah, but Joe,
Pierce, let me finish.
Joe, don't get me wrong. Joe,
let me finish.
Okay.
When it comes to sports and bathrooms, you're right. There are common sense solutions that the Democrats blew off. But you listen to the MAGA right on transgender Americans, it's a mental illness and they don't even exist. That's not where most America is.
Okay, Elizabeth, on that, I mean, I've always been very supportive of trans people's rights to fairness and equality, right to the point it erodes women's rights, all right? And I think that is where common sense lies. But to Joe's point, it's not unreasonable. I have seen a lot of pretty blatant transphobic rhetoric being spewed by some people on the right. Not a lot, but some people. What is your message to those people? Because Trump spoke today, for example, about the importance of unity. He wants to be a peaceful president, one that propagates peace, not war, but also unity.
Look, I actually think I do agree with Joe on a lot here, right? Breaking news. I think we all agree. It's ironic that people disagree with the concept that is Donald Trump because they hate him so much, but deep down actually agree with him on almost every issue. The fact is a lot of people ran against Donald Trump in 2016 who were a lot further right, said a lot of horrible things, by the way, about the LGBTQ community and lost. Same thing happened again in 2024. The fact is Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won being the first Republican or the first president at all, by the way, to go in supporting gay marriage. He has always said that he believes everyone should do what they want to do, whatever makes them happy until it infringes on somebody else and their life. He is very supportive of gay rights. I think, like you said, the sports issue, the bathroom issue, this is where most Americans agree. This is where Donald Trump agrees, and that's why he won. It's almost a non-issue here, right? The fact is he won the presidency against Kamala Harris, and he won against a bunch of Republicans who are a lot further than him, especially on this issue. The fact is you're 100% right. The majority of Americans agree. That's why Donald Trump is our president. That's why I think most of us here on this panel agree everyone should be treated fairly and with respect until it hurts somebody else. It's so basic. It's a fundamental American value. I'm proud that Donald Trump is the Republican candidate right now and has said that from day one, despite the fact that many people don't give him credit for that.
I mean, nothing, to be honest, could support what you've just said more than the fact that what has become the most popular dance in the world, it is a dance by the group Village People called YMCA, which was literally a gay anthem. The band have tried to say it wasn't now, but the truth is, I remember when it came out, it was the gay anthem of the world. And last night, Donald Trump ended his final rally, for want of a better phrase, by literally having the original Village People on and dancing to this anthem with them. I mean, if you're a homophobe, you don't do that. Anna, do you?
I don't think that Donald Trump is going to go after gay marriage. I don't think he's going to go after gay people. He didn't do it in his first term. He didn't even attempt to in his first term. So there's no reason to believe that he will in his second term. I think the allegations of him being homophobic are kind of ridiculous. I do think that there is some fear that, you know, everyone keeps talking about how his re-election is the end of wokeism, but it really depends on how Donald Trump governs, how he leads in the next 4 years. Because if he does intend to go after vulnerable communities and literally do these mass deportations of people, including people who might have been here for decades and never committed any other crimes other than being here in the country illegally, I think that that will further empower people who want to focus on these identity issues,
but
on
on
these
that,
social issues.
So since you point, I just think all the signals coming out of the Trump world are that is not really where the targeting is going to be. I mean, I didn't realize until recently there's 1 million people. There are 1 million illegal immigrants who have already been processed for deportation who just haven't been deported. And I suspect that almost all Americans I know would be like, well, why are they still here? So he'll start with those, and then he'll move on to those who are criminals. I think most Americans I know, from the ones I've talked to, from any political persuasion, all agree that if you're a criminal, illegal immigrant, well, what are you doing in America? So there's plenty of people in those categories to start with, aren't there?
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Tom Homan has been saying repeatedly that their so-called mass deportation is going to focus on the very individuals that you're referring to. So it really depends. And, you know, Donald Trump tends to say things that sound harsh, that sound kind of hateful time to time, and that further empowers the wokeism. But the thing I really want to focus on, just briefly, if I may, is what you brought up in regard to the tech bros, the tech CEOs who are very present at this inauguration. You know, I am curious to see how this kind of unfolds in regard to the priorities of MAGA, the America First crowd, versus these tech bros, because I agree with Joe Walsh. These are individuals who don't really have an ideology. They're not ideologues. They're just looking for cookies. They're corporate CEOs who are looking for favorable policies that will help them maximize profits. But oftentimes, those are the policies that run counter to what America First MAGA voters want. I think the whole debacle with the H-1B visas is a good example of that. So that's what I'm looking out for in this presidency. And I'm curious to see if the America First crowd holds Donald Trump accountable if he engages in what I think he's really good at, which is a transactional type of presidency. You know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. These are people who funded his inauguration and his campaign to the tune of tens of millions of dollars.